In this interview, Mark Zuckerberg talks about the final form of human to artificial intelligence interfaces. He also talks about open source AI and why Meta is betting so big on it. So let's watch the interview.
Thanks to you guys, I got a pair of these this summer, and I genuinely love them. Tell us the story of how these came to be.
Yeah, so thanks. I'm excited about them too. So, at Meta, we've been building social experiences for 20 years now. And originally, it took the form of a website, then mobile apps. But the thing is, I never thought about us as a social media company. Right? We're not a social app company. We are a social connection company. Right? I mean, we talk about what we're doing is building the future of human connection. And that's not only going to be constrained over time to what you can do on a phone, right, on a small screen. So when you think about, when we got started, okay, we're like a handful of kids. We didn't have the resources at the time to go define whatever the next computing platform is. And also, Facebook originally got started around the same time as a bunch of the early smartphones and those platforms got started. So we didn't really get to play any role in developing that platform. And one of the big themes, I think, for the next chapter of what we do is I want to be able to build what I think are sort of the ideal experiences, not just what you're allowed to build on some platform that someone else built, but like what is actually, if you can think from first principles, what is the ideal social experience? So I think what you would like to have is not a phone that you look down at that kind of takes your attention away from the things and the people around you, not just a small screen. I think what you ideally have is glasses. And through the glasses, there's one part of it where the glasses, they can see what you see and they can hear what you hear. And in doing so, they can be kind of the perfect AI assistant for you because they have context on what you're doing. But then part of that is also that the glasses can project images, basically like holograms, out into the world. And that way, your social experiences with other people aren't constrained to these little interactions you can have on a phone screen. In the not-so-distant future, you can imagine, because you guys have demoed some of the stuff that we've done, a version of this where we're having a conversation like this, but maybe like one of us isn't even here. They're just like a hologram, and we have glasses. And there's the question of delivering a realistic sense of presence. There's something magical in the realm of building social experiences around.
So there's a lot to talk about here. Mark Zuckerberg believes that the future of human to AI interaction is going to be in the form of glasses, and part of it makes sense too, because when you're wearing these glasses, they're capturing exactly what you're looking at and what you're hearing, and those are two of the most important senses when it comes to feeding that into an AI model. But here's the thing, these glasses have one big flaw. You have to wear them, and you have to wear them all the time if you want to interact with AI all the time. So, if I'm driving or hanging out at the park, I'll put them on and great. I can take pictures, I can talk to my AI assistant, and that's wonderful. But I cannot imagine wearing them all day, let alone indoors.
The feeling of human presence and like being there with another person and this physical perception, right, where we're very physical beings, right? People like to intellectualize everything, but a lot of our experience is very physical. And this physical sense of presence that you are with another person, doing things in the physical world, is something that you're going to be able to do through holograms, through glasses, without being taken away from whatever else you're doing. Just kind of have that mixed in with the rest of the world. It's going to be, I think, the ultimate digital social experience. And I think it's also going to be the ultimate incarnation of AI, because you're going to have conversations where it's like, all right, there's some people. It's like maybe like I'm physically here. There's like a person. You're like a hologram there. There's an AI that is kind of embodied as someone is there. And the glasses will enable this. So, okay, so how are we going after this, building this? This is like some huge project. We've been working on it for 10 years. And there are a lot of different challenges to solve to get there. There's like, you have to build a novel display stack, right? These aren't just screens like the kind that are in phones. There's this long lineage. They're connected to the screens that have been in TVs and monitors and things for a long time. There's been this massive optimization of the supply chain. There's like brand new display stack around holographic displays that basically need to get created. And then they need to be put into glasses. They need to be miniaturized. And you also, in the glasses, need to fit chips, microphones, speakers, cameras, eye tracking to be able to understand what you're doing, batteries to make it last all day.
Operate on new novel RF protocols.
Yeah, it's like, okay, it's a pretty big challenge. So we're like, all right, let's try to go for the big thing, right? And we've been working on that for a while, and we're pretty close to being able to show off kind of the first prototype that we have of that, and I'm really excited about that. At the same time, we also came at it from this lens of, all right, so that's like a lot of new technology that needs to get developed.
All right, so just a little news there. He said they're really close to releasing this AR/VR glasses thing that has Meta built into it. And now he's going to continue the story, but talk about how the Meta AI glasses came to be, because they weren't always Meta AI glasses. They were just simply a collaboration between Meta and Ray-Ban to take pictures and basically post things to Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp.
So what if we just constrain ourselves to, like, we're going to work with a great partner, EssilorLuxottica. They make Ray-Ban. They make a lot of the iconic glasses. Let's see what we can fit into glasses today and make them as useful as possible. And I kind of thought when we were getting started with those that it was almost like a practice project for the ultimate
Which,
AR.
let's be clear, that's what you thought Facebook was.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I did.
Like for your real startup someday.
That's true. Yeah, no, let's go on a tangent there for a second. So I started Facebook in school, came out to Silicon Valley with Dustin and a handful of people working on it at the time. And we did that because Silicon Valley is where all the startups came from. And I remember we got off the plane, we were driving down 101, we're like, wow, eBay, Yahoo, like this is amazing. All these great companies, one day, maybe we'll build a company like this. And I'd already started Facebook. And I was like, surely the project that we're working on now is not a company.
And Facebook had like some scale at this point.
Oh, no, it was a great project. I just didn't have the ambition to turn it into a company at the time. That just kind of happened. But anyway, yeah, I mean, a lot of hard work, obviously. But I just, at the time, I was kind of like, yeah, no, I don't think this is it.
Well, that's your answer of would you have started. You actually didn't try to start Facebook.
I didn't know. So I mean, the glasses, though, we thought that this was like, all right, we want to get working with EssilorLuxottica so we can start building more and more advanced glasses. And then, they're really good. They look good. And then AI, like the massive transformation in AI.
So
I remember,
for listeners, let's just be really clear. You guys shipped this product that I'm holding before LLMs, or at least before the public consciousness was aware of the ChatGPT moment. And these were not manufactured and shipped as an AI device. That came later when they were already in market.
Yeah, a few years ago, I would have predicted that AR holograms would have been available before kind of like full-scale AI. And now I think it's probably going to be the other order. So now it's like, all right, great. Well, this is actually a great product.
So what he's saying, very similar to the Apple Vision Pro, is that these are heavy goggles that you put on, and you just don't wear them all day. Meta kind of came in from the bottom here. They just built a very simple glasses, no AR, no VR, just enough to take a picture. I believe Apple has abandoned, at least for the time being, their work on the Apple Vision Pro, and instead are entering the market from the bottom as well. So you're basically going in from the top and from the bottom, and you're kind of seeing what's going to work.
It's got the cameras, so it can see what you see. It's got the microphone, it's got the speakers, you can talk to it. I remember calling Alex Himmel, the guy who runs the product group that's
exactly
running it, and I'm like, hey, I think we should probably pivot this and make it so that that Meta AI is the primary feature of it. And then I remember I came in the next week and they'd built a prototype of it on Tuesday, and it was like, all right, good. Yeah, no, this is good. This is gonna be a very successful product.
He told us a much more high stakes version of that story.
It was like, so I was on the highway with my kids, and I get this call on a Saturday from Mark, and he's like, those glasses, could we put Meta AI in them running on device and ship that soon so we can see if that's a good idea or not?
Yeah, that tracks. That's what I just said.
Next, Mark is going to talk about open source AI and why Meta went all in on open source and what that means to Meta as a company and to the ecosystem more broadly.
Meta has been the largest beneficiary of open source technology in the modern world. And I'm curious if you would agree with that, and if you would comment on your relationship to open source.
Well, I think almost all of the major technology companies at this point are primarily using open source stacks. So yeah, I mean, we wouldn't have been able to get built without open source. I think probably that's true for any new company that's been created since like, I don't know, the late 1990s or something. For us, open source has been important and valuable.
I mean, you were
Partially-
the first big company built on the LAMP stack.
Yeah, no, and it's great. Makes it super easy to develop stuff quickly and iterate quickly. But we've also had an interesting relationship with this because sequentially, as a company, we came after Google. So Google was the first of the great companies that built this distributed computing infrastructure. So they came first. So they were like, all right, let's keep this proprietary because it's a big advantage for us. And then we're like, all right, we need that too. But we built it, and then we're like, okay, not an advantage for us because Google already has that. So we might as well just make it open. And by making it open, then you basically get this whole community of people building around it. So it wasn't going to help us compete with Google for any of the stuff that we were doing to have that technology. But what we were able to do with things like Open Compute were get it to become the industry standard.
So what he just said is actually less important than what he didn't just say. What he really meant to say is, we open sourced it and then we took away Google's advantage. The reason Meta open sourced it was to take away Google's advantage in distributed computing. Now, in the next part, what he's going to explain is how he did the exact same thing to OpenAI.
So now you have like all these other cloud service platforms that basically use Open Compute, and because of that, the supply chain is standardized around our designs, which means that it's like way more supply, way cheaper to produce. We've saved billions of dollars, and the quality of the stuff that we get to use goes up. So, all right, that's like a win-win. But I think in order for this to work, we do a lot of open source stuff. We do a lot of closed source stuff. I'm not like a zealot on this. I think open source is very valuable, but I also think it sort of makes sense for us because of our position in the market. And the same for AI. I mean, around Llama.
Well, okay, this is where we were going with this.
Yeah, it's similar deal. We want to make sure that we have access to a leading AI model, right? I think just like we want to build the hardware so that we can build the best social experiences for the next 20 years. I don't think that, for us, it's like we've been through too much stuff with the other platforms to fully depend on anyone else. And we're a big enough company at this point that like we don't have to, right? We can build our own core technology platforms, whether that's going to be AR glasses or mixed reality or AI. So I think that's somewhat of an imperative for us to go do that. But, these things are not like pieces of software that are monolithic, they're ecosystems. They get better when other people use them. So for us, there's a huge amount of good, and it philosophically lines up with where we are. We're like, look, I definitely, firsthand have a lot of experiences. We were like trying to build stuff on mobile platforms, and the platforms are just like, nah, you can't build that. Okay, that's frustrating.
So that is the exact lesson that he learned on iOS and Android, but mostly iOS because of Apple. Apple just decided one day that Facebook shouldn't be able to track users across apps, or at least users should have the option to turn that off. It really hurt Meta's bottom line for a short period of time. They recovered definitely, but it was just a single decision that Apple made. So to prevent Meta from all of this, Zuckerberg decided to go open source. And with that being said, this is the end of our video. See you again next week with another video.